In 2022, Salt Bae was banned from the World Cup final field, just 2 years after serving steaks to world leaders. This is the meteoric rise and jaw-dropping collapse of Salt Bae. How a butcher from Turkey became a meme icon, a millionaire chef, and ultimately a cautionary tale about brand burnout, ego, and the internet's brutal memory. What made sprinkling salt ignite a global frenzy in 2017? It wasn't the salt, it was the spectacle. With one theatrical flick of the wrist, Nusret Gökçe transformed a basic kitchen move into internet legend. Elbow bent high, wrist tilted just so, salt cascading like confetti. It wasn't cooking, it was performance art. The clip hit social media like wildfire. Within days, Salt Bae was everywhere. Memes, remixes, parodies, even Halloween costumes. But underneath the laughs was something deeper. He made opulence feel playful. Meme status is a gift and a ticking clock, because when you build a brand on a moment, you're racing against the fade. Before the memes, he was elbow-deep in meat, not memes. Nusret Gökçe grew up poor in Erzurum, Turkey. At 11, he dropped out of school to help support his family, working brutal hours in butcher shops. What he lacked in education, he made up for in grit. Years of slicing meat turned into a dream. Then, a business. By 2014, Nusret wasn't just a restaurant, it was a theater of steak, with Gökçe as its star. Istanbul, Dubai, Miami, he expanded like wildfire. Work ethic builds empires. Ego can destroy them. But ambition without structure, that's seasoning without protein. It looks good, but it burns fast. When Leonardo DiCaprio watches you season steak in silence, you've made it. Salt Bae didn't just serve celebrities. He mesmerized them. From David Beckham to DJ Khaled, his steakhouses became star-studded stages, each Instagram story doubling as a free ad. The rich and famous lined up to be sprinkled on, but the brand started shifting. The food became secondary. It was about who you sat next to, not what you ate. Fame by association works, until the associations fade. Chasing celebrities can elevate a brand, but it can just as easily make it feel hollow. Would you pay $1,200 for a gold-covered steak that tastes average? At first, the novelty sold itself. Edible gold, tableside theatrics, viral clout, it all screamed luxury. But behind the flash, the cracks started showing. Diners complained about chewy meat, rude staff, and chaotic service. One London customer called it the most expensive disappointment of my life. As the empire grew, quality control vanished. The food stopped matching the fantasy. Hype can't hide a bad product forever. Flash grabs attention. Flavor keeps it. And Salt Bae forgot that second part. Behind the gold stakes were unpaid tips and legal threats. In 2021, several former employees sued Salt Bae's U.S. restaurants, alleging wage theft, forced tip-sharing, and illegal firings. One case led to a $230,000 payout. Staff claimed they were treated like props, expected to mimic Salt Bae's showmanship while being underpaid and overworked. The glitz on camera masked what workers called a toxic kitchen culture. Meme fame doesn't protect you from real lawsuits. If you treat your team like extras, your empire becomes a stage with no cast. One viral moment made him. 1,000 microposts started to break him. Reddit threads turned ruthless. Twitter threads mocked his theatrics. TikTokers reenacted his pose, not with steak, but with sarcasm. The internet that once adored him began dissecting every cringe interaction, every overpriced receipt, every forced smile. His persona became parody. And once people start laughing at you, it's hard to switch that off. Internet love is fickle. Internet hate is relentless. When the vibe flips, it flips hard, and Salt Bae never saw it coming. He crashed the world's biggest stage and got globally roasted. After Argentina's World Cup win, Salt Bae forced his way onto the pitch, grabbing Lionel Messi mid-celebration for a selfie. Messi looked visibly annoyed. FIFA looked furious. Days later, they banned Salt Bae from all future World Cup events. It wasn't just tone-deaf, it was egotistical. He made someone else's moment all about himself. One ego-driven moment destroyed a decade of goodwill. You can't sprinkle yourself into greatness when no one invited you. The internet didn't just turn on him, they started rating him. Brutally. TripAdvisor, Yelp, Google. Across the board, reviews tanked. Diners posted receipts showing 24 Red Bulls and 1,000 steaks served cold. One viral post described the restaurant as a nightclub that forgot to serve good food. Critics called it overpriced cosplay. The flash that once felt fun now came off as a scam. The internet remembers, especially the receipts. Once customers start comparing you to Fire Festival with forks, the damage is done. Dubai was his flex, the crown jewel of the Nusret Empire. Gold-plated steaks, skyline views, VIP tables booked months out. On Instagram, it looked untouchable. But on the ground, staff turnover soared, reviews slipped, and repeat customers vanished. Tourists showed up for the selfie, not the steak. Behind the glamour was a business stretched too thin to deliver. Luxury isn't gold foil, it's consistency. Salt Bae confused spectacle for substance. And Dubai became a glittering distraction from a crumbling core. If you've ever thought about turning a personal brand into a business, what's the one mistake Salt Bae made that you'll avoid? Drop your answer in the comments. Your future self might thank you for it. While fans watched his show, the books were bleeding. By 2023, Salt Bae's parent company had quietly amassed over $50 million in liabilities. Suppliers went unpaid. Rent lawsuits piled up. Several investors accused the brand of mismanagement and financial opacity. All that glitz? It was floating on debt. And when the bills came due, the brand buckled. Growth without cash flow is a death sentence. You can't scale a meme into a multinational without mastering the math. Then, the sprinkling stopped. Salt Bae's Instagram, once a daily dopamine hit, went quiet. No stakes, no theatrics, just occasional reposts and lifeless promos. For a man who built his empire on visuals, the silence was deafening. Followers dropped. Engagement cratered. It felt less like a break and more like retreat. Silence speaks volumes when you're a content machine. When the feed goes dry, the myth starts to die. When the glitz faded, the voices behind the curtain got louder. Former staff across the US, Turkey, and the UAE spoke out, describing grueling shifts, unpaid overtime, and bizarre requirements like memorizing Salt Bae's poses. Some claimed they were fined for not performing theatrics correctly. Turnover was constant. Morale, non-existent. The workplace had become a parody of the brand itself. Behind-the-scenes mistreatment can kill public charm. If your staff is performing under pressure, the audience eventually sees the cracks. He tried to evolve, but the audience had already moved on. In 2024, Salt Bae shifted gears. Motivational videos, fitness reels, even a self-published cookbook. But it didn't land. His rise and grind content felt hollow coming from a man best known for flinging salt. Views plummeted. Comments turned sarcastic. The new image didn't match the old myth, and nobody was buying it. If reinvention lacks authenticity, it backfires. You can't rebrand while pretending the meme never happened. Ask a 17-year-old who Salt Bae is. You'll probably get a blank stare. His meme moment peaked before TikTok took over. Generation Z doesn't remember the original sprinkle. They're watching food creators who post daily, adapt trends, and engage in real time. Salt Bae? He's a ghost in their algorithm. Relevance didn't just fade, it skipped a generation. Relevance isn't earned once, it's rented monthly. And when the rent's overdue, the audience evicts you. Fast. The lights didn't go out all at once, they flickered. Quietly. By late 2024, Nusser locations in London, New York, and Miami began closing. No press releases, just locked doors, hushed layoffs, and customers showing up to closed permanently signs. The empire that once spanned continents was retreating. In silence. No headlines, just a slow fade. When you stop opening doors, your legacy closes too. Failure rarely makes an announcement. It just stops returning your reservation. So what does Salt Bae leave behind? An icon or a warning sign? He changed how we see chefs. He turned a butcher's pose into global branding, but he also showed what happens when ego outpaces execution. The name that once symbolized luxury became shorthand for excess, cringe, and collapse. His story is both blueprint and red flag. Brand fame is rented. Discipline is what buys equity. If you build your empire on moments instead of mastery, you're always one flop away from freefall. Here's the twist. It's not too late. The world loves a comeback, but only if it feels real. If Salt Bae ditches the ego, dials in on the food, and rebuilds behind the scenes with humility, there's a path forward. Great chefs can be showmen, but they have to earn the plate first. The spotlight can return, but only if the steak delivers. You can't go viral forever, but you can evolve. And if he does? The next chapter might actually be worth watching. Salt Bae didn't just lose momentum. He lost control of his story. From meme magic to global mogul to public punchline, his rise and fall is more than clickbait. It's a masterclass in how fleeting fame really is. He had the world's attention. He just didn't know what to do with it. Want more cautionary tales of viral fame gone wrong? Watch our deep dive on the Fire Festival next, because Salt Bae wasn't the only one who built an empire on hype and hubris.